and championship week is in the books as we now look forward to the 2KU weekly podcast for week 16. I'm Antoine Joy 101, joined by Danny V once again. After a bit of a tumultuous weekend in the 2KU, we're here to get you ready for what should be the quiet before the storm that is bowl season. We're going to start with our top stories this week. Wisconsin defeating the number one team in the country, getting revenge in their first Big Ten title since 2010. Oregon gets their retribution, winning their 14th Pac-12 championship. South Carolina racks up another upset in the ACC championship to secure their first BCS Bowl berth since 2013. Oklahoma wins in double overtime to grab their 30th Big 12 title, leaving Iowa State out in the cold. And Marshall shoots down undefeated Texas State, playing spoiler en route to their first Conference USA championship. And we're going to get to the end of this show. One of our highlights here, we'll be announcing the winner of the Heisman Trophy. How are you doing today, Danny?
I'm doing pretty good, just chilling, relaxing after a little bit of a long weekend for me. I'm at least glad to be back in the motion of things.
All right. Start on Friday. Double overtime game. Marshall 32, Texas State 24. What a shocker. Danny, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, that was a big shocker. I was really hoping Texas State would have won it. Maybe some divine intervention could have saved them, but unfortunately, Marshall came up on top and stunned Texas State's special season.
What do we have to... What would this loss by Texas State and this win by Marshall, what does that say both about the Conference USA and what should they take about this in the future?
Well, number one, the conference is still very strong. Like, yes, they lost Louisville, they lost UCF, they lost Tucson, they lost all these big teams, but they're still filled with a lot of talent and a lot of great teams. I think maybe for Conference USA I think they should start looking around and especially seeing at how good the SoCon, the Americans did, especially with their own home crowds. Maybe they want to start looking at maybe a home crowd revenues.
Potentially as well. The big problem with this USA is they've had two undefeated teams these last two seasons, and they've both lost in the conference championship game to teams with a worse record. That does prove to the parity of the league. Southern Miss and Marshall, the last two teams to win the title. Certainly very talented teams, each in their own right. But if you're the head of the CUSA and you had a BCS berth on the line and the last team to do it for you, to get you to the BCS and split a national championship, is no longer in that conference, that definitely stings, doesn't it?
Yeah, that definitely does.
We're going to move on now to the Sun Belt Championship, where Florida Atlantic pretty unceremoniously destroyed Louisiana Monroe in New Orleans to win themselves another Sun Belt title, their first since 2021. Danny?
Yeah, that FAU, I think they were definitely the best team in the Sun Belt this season after all we saw with that big stretch at the start. It wasn't for a few step-ups along the way. But FAU came out, they proved it, and dominated by 21 or 27 to nothing.
21-0 is the score of our next game, the American Conference Championship from University Stadium in Newark, Delaware, where the Blue Hens destroyed rival UMass.
Exactly right. Find the guy who's open because you got so many guys that have so much.
Sorry about that. We're back.
They can do so much damage on the field.
American Conference Championship 21-0 was the score there as Delaware demolished UMass, finally winning themselves their first American championship. Last year they made it. They lost to Charlotte. This year they crushed UMass. Will the cycle continue for UMass, or is Delaware the new king on the block in this upcoming American, Danny?
I think think Delaware is definitely the new king on the block. I'm sure they're happy to be in, considering how bad their tenure was in the Big East, and now they get a chance to compete for not only just bowl spots but also conference championships. They definitely put themselves on a grade level in the American, especially concerning their founding members, but also does help them in the future for the American, considering the new additions are coming in. They might be a little bit feisty.
I think the conference is trending northeast, and with the Big East doing the opposite, they looked south for expansion, and now a lot of the best teams in the conference are in the south. Look at Louisville, look at UCF, look at, to a lesser extent, West Virginia. It's not as southern, but still south of where the Northeast traditionally is. However, with the American, it feels like we have a true Northeastern Conference with teams like Delaware and UMass playing well. Colgate also going bowling this year, and maybe they look for expansion in the FCS. We'll have to see how that moves in the future. To the Southland, we're gonna go. Lamar and Northwestern State. Lamar got the better at these teams' first matchup in Beaumont. However, at Natchitoches, Louisiana, Turpin Stadium, Northwestern State was the one who dominated 37-17 after a super slow start. If you remember, Northwestern State turned on the Jets and didn't look back. 25 unanswered. Get to 37-17 and an 11-win season, the first in school history for Northwestern State, as Dude Perfect gets the touchdown here. Danny?
Yeah, as the Southland says goodbye to the FBS, now these two teams are saying hello to the Valley, the Missouri Valley. And I'm sure the Missouri Valley might be excited for these two teams to come and compete, and I'm sure these two might be excited to compete there. So hopefully we could get ourselves some great competition here and there.
Now to the Mountain West. An undefeated season was on the line for Nevada. With Texas State's loss, they got very giddy. Now they were in position to potentially win that BCS spot. But they started slow. Nevada's opponent, Wyoming, they were playing with fire, as they had against Boise. It was a back and forth affair by the second half, but Nevada pulls away in the end. 28-23, the number 13 Wolfpack remain undefeated. Danny?
Yeah, I certainly felt like their victory came with some divine intervention or something like that, but they had great job for Nevada keeping their undefeated season still alive, and who knows, they might be looking around and might be thinking, maybe we could win or claim a national championship at this point, coming soon.
To Saturday we go. Let's talk about the Big 12 championship that started off the day. Double overtime affair. Iowa State, number 7, number 15, Oklahoma. We had an exciting one here. Danny, talk about it.
Yeah, this game was super exciting. It first started off, I believe, Oklahoma came off hot, and then Iowa State had a little comeback, and then, but then it started going back and forth, and then we got into overtime, where then not just went to 1, but 2, and Oklahoma gets their revenge on Iowa State.
That last play, the fumble, was backbreaking.
Definitely not at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm. ISU falling to 11-2. Oklahoma State rising to 7-2, as they'll be going back to the BCS. To the MAC championship, Johns Hopkins had to have all the strings in the world pull in their favor to make it here. But once they got here, they weren't keen on giving up their spot. 30-20 the final score. Johns Hopkins beating Bowling Green in Detroit to claim their first MAC championship. Danny?
Yeah, Johns Hopkins, they came out and they performed amazingly. They saw their moment and they took it. And unfortunately for Pudge, they have to sit out another year raising up the trophy.
Mm-hmm. The final SoCon championship game comes with Richmond and Western Carolina. And it was Western who hosted at Colby, North Carolina. They beat Richmond earlier in the year, and they do it again to end the championship game. 34-28 the final score. Western wins their 7th conference championship, the most of any member that was still into the final point. Danny?
Yeah, this wasn't a great matchup, and I'm sure both these teams They wanted to at least finish out the Sun Belt goodbye, and they're now going to become true Americans in the American Athletic Conference.
The past few
And I believe
seasons,
now the SoCon's also got some expansion lineup as well, right? For when they move down.
it's more a merger than anything. We remember 2022 and 2024, an undefeated Big East team was near the top of the charts both years. However, it was a team on the other side of the conference, like Temple, that stole it away both times. Temple's not in this game, and therefore there is no major upset comeback this time. 44-19, number 2 Louisville wins their 13th on the year. West Virginia, the other team, number 16, they fall to 10-3. Still potentially on the chopping block when it comes to the BCS. It depends on how everything else will fall into place. This game was in Yankee Stadium, moved from MetLife due to MetLife being MetLife. Regardless, though, Danny, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a great game. Luckily, there were no Owls to spoil the fun. But definitely great win by Louisville, who came in, got us a strong win, and are now really hoping to clinch up a national championship spot.
They should. They're the first power team to remain undefeated. They would just have to wait on another result later on. The SEC championship game up next, 2 11-1 squads. Very exciting matchup here on paper. Georgia, though, seemed to control most of the game. 40-27, the final score. The number 3 Bulldogs get to 12-1. And they're now in the conversation. Should another team lose? They were waiting on that Michigan-Wisconsin game. We'll see how that one goes. Danny?
Yeah, this was a really good game by Georgia. I mean, they've been on a 11-game win streak as of now, and now they're on their 12th win. And they've been through a tough slate, so I think they definitely have the pedigree for making their case for a national championship spot.
To the Missouri Valley Championship. Southern Illinois rode into the championship game, winning back-to-back in 11-1. That doesn't matter. Drake absolutely demolished them in St. Louis, 28-7. This is the type of performance that puts a program on the map. Drake, with their 10th win, wins their first championship in the Missouri Valley since 1995, as well as breaking the record, as they were tied with Southern Illinois for the most championships by a current member. Drake now has 13. Danny?
Yeah, Drake came in, gave them the hotline bling, and absolutely beat them down. So
that can only mean one thing: Missouri Valley champions. To the ACC. Somehow a bit less chaotic than in real life, but still, number 17, South Carolina, beating Miami, who was in the top 10 and looking at an Orange Bowl berth. Miami also still in BCS contention, but you got to figure Clemson's still 11-1. Their one loss was to South Carolina. They might actually get precedent ahead of Miami in terms of BCS selection. So Miami might end up sitting out. This is a team who played with fire for the beginning of the year, but everything seemed to flame out by the end. They had that loss to Notre Dame, and now this loss to South Carolina. It's going to be a rough stretch here. Danny?
Yeah, it was definitely a big game for South Carolina. I mean, coming off last week of beating their arch rival Clemson, who was number 1 in the nation, to now knock it up not just only the number 1, but number 10 in the nation. They definitely show that, hey, we can compete. And yes, they had like a rocky loss at the start, but they turned it around. They're here to win.
Pac-12 championship game. We had an entertaining one. 35-23 in a top 5 matchup between Oregon and Washington. It was the Ducks who win their second title in 3 years and their 14th Pac-12 title all time. The Ducks improved to 12-1. The Washington Huskies fall to 11-2. Both are still in consideration for the BCS. Definitely not going to be a surprise if they both make it. But Oregon, with the win, is now on the outside of the championship conversation. We'll have to see how that Big Ten game goes, Danny.
Yeah. Oregon, they definitely had themselves a great win, a revenge game, and a lot better game than the last time they played, considering last time they played it was basically a snooze fest. That would have made me fall asleep no matter what time zone, no matter what time it is. But yeah, great win by Oregon, and now they have to see if they're in or not, because beating a top 5 team, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. The Big Ten championship, this would be the decider. Should Michigan win, it's a done deal who's going to the national championship. Danny, tell us how this game went.
Yeah, this game, it was a very intense one going into Indianapolis. Wisconsin started off hot, going 21-0 going into the middle of the second quarter, but then Michigan came back by around the partial way through the third. It was tied up and then just became back and forth. Wisconsin then took a 41-37 lead with only a few minutes left in the fourth quarter. Michigan had the ball. Michigan was going down the field. They tried going for a deep pass and then intercepted. Wisconsin upsets the number 1 team in the nation.
41-37, the final score from Indy. Wisconsin going back to the BCS for the first time since 2023. Danny?
Yeah, Wisconsin had themselves a great matchup right here. It became Madhouse in Madison, Wisconsin. So definitely the Badgers, they're happy to be in a great spot and having a monumental win and a revenge win as well from earlier this season.
The WAC championship will wrap it up. Pacific lost to North Texas last week, but they get their revenge in San Diego, 55-42 over the number 23 Mean Green. And with that win, Pacific has their first 10-win season in school history. Danny?
Yeah, monumental day for Pacific. They definitely wanted this win and wanted revenge for what North Texas did. That was like a home and home because the game was in Texas first, now it's in California, but
not the right part of California.
Definitely, yeah. But definitely, it was a great win by Pacific. They were angry. They were also jealous that North Texas got that number 23 by their name and wanted for themselves or to sink them down.
From there, we're going to move into our top 25, and there's going to be a lot of debate about this. There can only be 2 spots in the championship game. We have one more poll before we have one more poll, and if minds are changed or not, that'll be it. The penultimate poll for the top 25. Starting off number 1, no surprise, Louisville sits at top. The only undefeated power team remaining nationwide. At number 2, it's going to be Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs get the win over LSU to get to number 2. They're up 1 spot, as is Louisville. Up 2 from last week. Number 3, Oregon. The number 3 Ducks beat Washington. They jump 2. Number 4, Washington, even with the loss, jump 1 spot. Ahead of number 5, LSU, who also lost to the now number 2 Georgia Bulldogs. Up 2 is Wisconsin. The Badgers jump 2 spots after their win over Michigan. They are 11-2. Up 6 from last week. That's going to be a touchdown. Whoa, what a play. But at number 7 now is Nevada. Undefeated, BCS bound. They're ready to go. They're not our biggest riser, though. That's going to go to Oklahoma, who jumped 7 spots from last week to number 8 in the country after their win over Iowa State. Down 8 is our biggest faller. That's Michigan, who fell behind a bunch of teams in spite of their 12-1 record. That loss in the Big Ten championship game weighed heavy on the pollsters' mind. Number 10, Iowa State, down 3 spots after their loss to Oklahoma. Number 11, Clemson, up 3 from last week. Still, I don't understand why this team is ranked so low at 11-1. Though right behind them, I understand the rise. Up 5 spots, number 12, South Carolina, after their win over Miami. We have a bunch of fallers coming up. Number 13, Alabama, down a spot. Number 14, Texas Tech, down 3 spots. And tied for our biggest falls, that's going to be both Texas State and Miami at 15 and 16, who both fell 6 spots after their losses to Marshall and South Carolina, respectively. We have a series of teams who did not play this week, up 2 spots, those being Ole Miss, Texas, and Stanford at 17, 18, and 19. Down 4 after their loss to Louisville, number 20, West Virginia. And the rest of our top 25 was inactive. Ohio State, 21, number 22, Texas A&M. Returning to the top 25 again, it's UCF at 23. At number 24, down 2 is USC. And at number 25, it's Arkansas. Wrapping up the top 25. One mention I want to make, North Texas, after their loss to Pacific, they are out of the top 25, our only team dropping out this week. Unless we have different polls, I don't think we're going to have anyone new in the top 25 come the national championship, or come bowl season. There may be some shuffling of position.
Until selection day comes by.
As for that, our next teams up, the others receiving votes include Marshall, Nebraska, Arizona State, FAU, Columbia, Michigan State, North Texas, Western Carolina, Appalachian State, Delaware, Boise State, Utah, Fresno State, South Alabama, Northwestern State, Oregon State, Maryland, Pacific, UAB, Georgia Tech, Tennessee, Wyoming, Johns Hopkins, Cincinnati, Temple, Drake, Southern Illinois, and Tarleton State. That's 28 teams, and the next team's up. And there's some points I want to make about the top 25. So a bit of objection, but first I want Danny make your case. Speak your piece about this top 25.
Yeah, there were some teams I think who dropped maybe a bit too hard, like Michigan. I don't think losing to a team who was ranked very high should drop them off too much. And
That's
a lot
a top
of
10
teams
loss.
Didn't play also dropped. Yeah,
that's a
that's
top
very
10
questionable,
loss.
especially from one of our pollsters who initially didn't have them there and then decided to put them at number 25. Same thing with Clemson.
Yeah, one of our pollsters did not rank Michigan or Clemson, in spite of the fact that they are both one-loss teams. I don't know. For my poll, I had Michigan ahead of Wisconsin still. Because I'll tell you why. Michigan beat Wisconsin. Michigan beat Wisconsin in Camp Randall. Michigan beat Wisconsin in Camp Randall by a bunch. By a lot more, even than Wisconsin beat Michigan in Indy.
Yeah, for me, I had Wisconsin technically over, but it was by 1 spot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're basically almost the same.
Another thing I don't know, I don't know if I agree with or not. It's going to be a tough decision between Georgia and Oregon. That's going to be your number 2 right now. It's one or the other. The polls went Georgia. I went Oregon. Oregon's one loss on the year was to Washington, and I feel like this win negates that. Because this wasn't another 14-7 situation where like it was a super low-scoring, sluggish affair. This was Oregon locked in. This was the Oregon we saw every other game of the year this season. And for Georgia, their one loss came all the way back in week 1 against Oklahoma. That loss does look a lot better now. But if you're comparing losses, I think right now a better loss would have been to Washington than it would have been to Oklahoma. Danny?
Yeah, that it is a very, very, very tough situation because, yes, I mean, Georgia's one loss was to Oklahoma. Oregon's one loss was to Washington. They did technically revenge that by beating them in the conference championship game. But, and even like, for example, from some behind the scenes stuff, the computer stats one has Oregon above Georgia. As a matter of fact, they have Oregon as their number 1 team. And for the rankings poll, they had Georgia up at number 2 and Oregon number 3.
I also, in our polls, this other pollster had Louisville at 3. Louisville's the only undefeated power team in the country, and they have them out of their national championship.
As a matter of fact, they have Nevada ranked above them.
I feel like in some sense, there'd be a lot you need to do to make a case for Nevada making the national championship game right now. Not with Georgia, not with Washington, not even with Michigan ahead of them right now. You can make a case still. I don't get having Louisville out.
Yeah, Louisville's done everything they could. They are still undefeated. They've played multiple top 25 teams. They won their conference. They've done literally everything that you could do.
And speaking of, they have a Heisman finalist. Let's talk about those. They have both a Heisman finalist and Coach of the Year. We're going to start with the Coach of the Year's finalists. We have eight spots here. Reese Atwood for Louisville, Jarrett Linwood, Texas Tech, Kieran Honeysett, Washington, Gerard Harmon for Texas State, Eric Haynes, Iowa State, Charles Rowland, Georgia, Herman Riley of Miami, and William Shirley of Ohio State. We took the numbers and between all of our polls right now, our third member of the team was not here, so I had to improvise. It's just some RNG. And our Coach of the Year. Play the drum roll. Your 2025 Coach of the Year. Your 2025 Coach of the Year, that's going to go to Eric Haynes, Iowa State. The turnaround for Iowa State has been remarkable this season. ISU going from a Big 12 bottom feeder into, at one point, just a couple lucky breaks away from a national championship. This Iowa State team is one to watch for the future, and Eric Haynes is a big reason why. Congratulations to Mr. Haynes for his win here.
This is where you catch a defense off guard. They're not expecting the fullback to be a big part of the throwing game. How about the big play game?
Time for our Heisman Trophy finalists. Let's get acquainted with them once again. Daniel Anderson, running back for Oklahoma. The senior was a big part in their Big 12 title win this week. AJ Carpenter balled out for Louisville against West Virginia in this game and all season. Cal Dirks showed some fantastic flashes as quarterback for Texas Tech. Daniel Gerardo was absolutely consistent, as well as showing incredible arm strength. Cole Lefebvre was a reliable back for Arizona State. The transfer has been one of the biggest stories in the Pac-12 this year. Logan Martin Garcia, the only freshman here, had a bit of a rocky game against South Carolina, but he's wowed people all season. Even if he doesn't win it this year, don't be surprised if he comes back in the future. Tony Moore sat out this week for Clemson, but still had great play all year. That Georgia Tech game is a certain highlight. Dexter Robertson for Texas State. He was expected to be the Heisman favorite out of the non-power teams for a reason, and he showed up again, even in that loss to Marshall. He played very well. Same results from the Heisman Trophy. We're going to be looking through this and talking about, and we're going to find out now who is joining that elite fraternity and being able to hoist that bronze bust. The winner of the 2025 Heisman Trophy is Daniel Gerardo, quarterback, Washington. That's another Pac-12 Heisman Trophy winner. Go back to 2023. Andrew Burnett won the Heisman Trophy out of Oregon. But now it's Washington. Gerardo We saw him against Boise State. We saw him against Oregon. And this might not be the last we see of him. He lost that Oregon game, but he will be BCS bound. The junior has yet to make his statement about his future. Potentially, he might be an NFL pick. We'll see how things go We'll see how things go after the BCS Bowls are decided. But up next, we're going to wrap things up. Wrap things up with game of the week. But first, Danny, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, to first start off with our Coach of the Year, Eric Haynes. Congratulations. He definitely did deserve this. I mean, Iowa State, I don't think they even... Did they make it to a bowl game last season?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so to turn them from a team that wasn't going bowling to a team who almost won their entire conference, that is a massive turnaround for any program, and that's definitely a great moment for him. For Daniel Guerrero, quarterback from Washington, yeah. Congratulations to him. I mean, he wasn't my big choice. I had personally Cal Dirks from Texas Tech. We saw a great game from him, especially during that Kansas game. We all remember that highlight reel of him being chased and still scoring that touchdown. And so he was definitely my choice, but he definitely Daniel, he definitely did deserve this, and he was deserving of all the awards.
Gerardo definitely not without his Heisman moment. Think back to Boise State, that game in Seattle, the bomb to score the first touchdown of the game. That was definitely going to be a moment that loomed large, and his continued play, or his continued excellent play, was definitely going to help him out. Logan Martin Garcia took a hit, namely because of that championship loss. I think Tony Moore took a hit because Clemson didn't make it to the championship game. I'm interested as to why A.J. Carpenter finished so low. Carpenter was my Heisman pick to start the year, or to start the voting process. I think he had been playing well all season, and he finished off with a dominant win against West Virginia. But maybe he'll win one thing better, and that being that Crystal football to end the season. Louisville's never won a national championship. Will he lead them to it? We're going to find out in a few weeks' time. But for now, we only have one more game to talk about. The 2KU Game of the Week. And it is a big one. The historic Army-Navy game from M&T Bank Field in Baltimore, Maryland. Army and Navy. A bit of stakes for Navy. They need to win in order to secure a bowl berth. In order to, firmly secure a bowl berth, rather. As for Army, they haven't won against Navy since 2020. It's been, after a Army dominant end of the 2010s, they won every matchup from 2016 to 2020. Navy has now won 3 in a row. Or just won 4 in a row, actually. 21, 22, 23, 24. Can the Black Knights play spoiler? Navy is favored by 4.5. This is, as we all know, probably going to be a low-scoring affair. Right now, Navy looks like the better team. They have been dominant in this rivalry's history. But something is telling me that this is going to be special. My grandpa got me into this game. He was in the Air Force, so we were a lifetime Army family. We rock with Army all the time. I gotta root for my guys. Go Army, beat Navy. Danny, send us home.
It's gonna be a fun one. This is gonna be a big matchup, and personally, even though their record might say they've had themselves a pretty tough schedule, and I think this is gonna be their chance to show it. Give me Army close. Those silver helmets and those white uniforms should be a beautiful scene in Baltimore, especially against that British Navy.
I say. That's going to do it for us here. Don't forget to tune in on Saturday for the Army-Navy game. Don't forget to tune in on Thursday to the Antoine Joy 101 main channel, where I'll be joined by Rose Pie VA, hopefully Danny, among others, for the Game Awards. We'll be having a good time there. Thank you all so much for watching.